Okay, I think with that, I'm going to get us started today. So to those who haven't met me before, my name is Alex and I lead the support team here at Relevance AI. Joining the call as well is the amazing Chelsea. If you're doing the AI Ops program, I don't think I need to introduce Chelsea at all. She is our Dr. Wise, our resident doctor and marketing specialist who is running our AI Ops cohort. And Chelsea, you're just going to be around to help out and answer questions, I'm guessing.
I'm just here for the vibes. Here for the vibes. I work quite closely in the AI Ops Bootcamp with Jamie and Marco online. And it's good to see some new names here. But I'm just lurking in the background, eating my porridge, and a huge fan of everything Alex does at Relevance, from building agents, scaling our support team, building community, and taking on even more projects. She's a wealth of expertise and knowledge, and just a great person. So you can see I'm in the Relevance HQ at the moment. We've got Chris, senior software engineer, eating in the background next to a Pixel agent. So yeah, I'll be just following along on chat.
And just hyping me up and making me blush. Thank you so much, Chelsea.
100%.
Alrighty, let's get straight into it. I'm going to start sharing my screen. First, what I'm going to do is take you guys through our arsenal of support agents. So, can everyone see my screen? I can't see you guys, so I'm just winging it.
We can. All good.
Cool, amazing. So this is our kind of workforce that we have of agents that are not customer facing, but are ones that we use in our support team. So if you run a support team like I do, you would know that there are so many different things that go into running a support team that isn't just speaking to customers on a platform like Intercom, Zendesk. I was a JSM, Jira Service Management user for many years because I worked at Atlassian. Any kind of service management system, there's a lot more that goes into the back end of it and how you run a support team, especially as you scale. So I've kind of kitted out lots of the agents that we've built here in our support team, and I'm going to be taking you guys through this one today, which is Clara, the case reviewer. You can see a common thread between these agents here, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're a Doctor Who fan, I apologize in advance, but that was just the naming scheme that I had for my agents to start. But I've kind of kitted these out into categories. So we've got a couple of agents here that I use for case reviews and coaching, which I'm going to go through today, and just kind of helping people get better with the responses to customers and how they do their job. So Clara, the case review, or just case reviews in general, is what we're going to do today. And we've created an agent here that reviews support tickets. And basically, we want to review support tickets that we get negative CSAT results on. So if you've reached out to my support team, at the end of that conversation, most of the time you would have been sent a survey to fill out. And it would have been a survey from 1 to 5 on your support experience on that ticket. 1, 2, and 3 is considered negative, and that means that there's room for improvement. 4 is still good. That's a good positive one. And then 5 is like perfect, amazing, flawless response. And so we rate our team and our customer satisfaction based on these surveys at the moment. We're going to increase the amount of things that we rate in the future. But right now, when someone comes through and does a ticket and leaves a low CSAT result, we want to review that ticket and see what it is that we could have done to improve. So that's the agent that I'm going to be taking you guys through today. And then we've also got a couple more agents that I'll take you through. So one of them is Rory, the respectful response writer. So sometimes you might be writing a response and going, I don't know, I don't think this is hitting the way I want it to. I feel like it might be a bit too blunt. I want to kind of de-escalate a situation, that kind of thing. Rory will read a support ticket and then go, okay, cool, I'm ready to go. What is it that you want to send to the customer? And you can send it a draft, you can send it nothing, and Rory will help you write the next response that hopefully can de-escalate situations and be really empathetic, but also in our internal voice. So because we're an Aussie company, we want to sound like Aussies when we're writing our support tickets. So I've also put in our prompts to sound very much like a professional Australian would speak in the workplace. And that's something that you can definitely do in prompt engineering. Moving on to our community agent. So obviously you're in the community right now. And so we've created an agent called Carl, the community agent. Carl, when Chelsea first saw the image for Carl, she thought it was Russell Brand, which is very unfortunate because he's actually one of my best mates. So I asked my friend Carl if he wanted to become an agent. He was like, I don't mind. So he is our Carl, the community agent. And so one of the things that Carl does at the moment is that when you guys raise a question, 3 times a day, Carl goes into the community and basically checks all of our questions and makes sure that there's none that don't have comments on them. If there are ones that don't have comments on them, Carl will raise that in our Slack channels and be like, hey, can someone jump in and help out because someone hasn't gotten a response on this question. In the future, we're hoping that Carl can hopefully do a little bit more in the community and maybe even chat to you guys in the community. So you may see a bit more of that in the future. The next category that we have is release readiness. So one of the things about Relevance that really, I guess, was a culture shock for me is the fact that we release things every single day. And as a result of that, we need to keep our documentation up to date. We're going to need to make sure our support team is ready to support different releases, all different kinds of things like that. So I've created, the first agent I actually created when I joined the team was Rose, the Release Readiness Roadmapper, a bit of a handful name. And so what Rose will do is that when product managers or anyone else is releasing something new to the product, they go and speak to Rose and they basically say, hey, Rose, I'm releasing a new Slack trigger. I'm releasing a new integrated knowledge source, that kind of thing. And Rose will go, okay, cool. Do you have links to your Notion pages, to linear tickets, all these kinds of things? Rose will go through, collect all that information from different sources, quiz our product manager, any other stakeholder, in case there's anything there that she hasn't gotten answered. And then once she's gotten all of that, she'll go through, she'll suggest some save replies that our support team can add and use moving forward. And she'll also create some documentation. So basically she'll go through our documentation, which can be seen or here. And she's got a knowledge table that she'll go through and basically be like, I think that we should change X, Y, and Z and create a new page for this. And so we'll go through and we'll be like, okay, cool. Let's action those suggestions or not. And so then that allows the support team to then jump in quickly, make changes to our docs and keep up to date with new releases. Moving on to reporting. Now, the one that I've been using a lot is Donna, the end of day support reporter. So a lot of our stakeholders want to know what we're doing in support, but don't want to have access to our support systems and pay for licenses. So Donna's fantastic. What she will do is that every day at the end of our day here in Sydney, she will go through our Intercom API and basically get metrics and all the things that we're up to. She'll get our number of tickets today, the number of tickets that aren't assigned, number of tickets that are waiting on customer. Ideally, at any point in time, we want 80% of the tickets that we have to be waiting on customer, so therefore not waiting on action from our side. She'll get stats on the amount that are assigned to our AI agent, stats on the amount that are assigned or waiting on our engineering teams, and report that back to the business on Slack every single day, and also compare it to the previous day. So that's an interesting one too. And the one I'm also going to take you guys through today is Idris. So Idris is basically just one that summarizes cases. So if you use Intercom, you'll know that Intercom's quite expensive. And we don't want everyone to have access to Intercom as a result. And on top of that, we also want to take tickets that we get on Intercom and move it into a better system so we can just keep it up to date and look through conversations as we go. So what Idris will do is take an Intercom conversation and move it into a source of your choice, Google Drive, Notion, etc., and basically summarize the ticket and make it into a readable conversation log for other teams and also just a summary. Jamie, that's a really good question. So Intercom is the platform that we're currently using for support, but we're about to move to a new platform called Pylon. So we're in the process of doing that. So we're going to be coming in this tile here on their website. And so Pylon is going to be our new support system. In terms of other systems that we use here at Relevance, one of the big ones that we use is Midlify. If I can just go straight to their website, you'll probably see that their documentation looks identical to ours because it does. We're using them for our documentation platform. A lot of companies are using it. I really enjoy it. It's my first time using Mintlify, and I think it's a fantastic experience. And it is all hosted on a GitHub as well. So it just means that we just do commits and branches to a repo and get people to review it that way. And so I think it's fantastic for more technical teams. In terms of other platforms that we use, let me think at the top of my head. In terms of support platform, it's Pylon. We also have Slack for support for our higher tiers, but that's also fed into our new Pylon platform. What else? We use Notion for knowledge documentation internally, Linear for tracking tasks. I used to work on Trello and did for 4 years, so I'm still big on using Trello for meeting notes and that kind of thing. In terms of other systems, what else have we got that I can think of? Our community is one of them. And I'm also very keen on having our support team all have access to Cursor. I did a post about this on LinkedIn the other day, but I'm very keen on having support teams when we get feature requests or we see really easy bugs that we can fix or just like copy changes in products, we can go into Cursor and basically make the changes ourselves, push a PR and get it reviewed, and it doesn't really require that much engineering intervention. So that's something we use as well. Another platform that we've been using, and you might see in our documentation, is Super Demo. I love Super Demos. They're fantastic. And it's something that we also use here at Relevance as well. And it's an AI-powered platform where you can basically do demos that look like this very, very quickly. And I'll turn that off because that's got music. Hopefully CRM integration. Yes, so our sales team uses HubSpot. And so while our support tickets aren't fed into HubSpot, we use HubSpot when customers come through and are asking about demos, for instance, and we'll check and see if they qualify for a demo, make sure our sales team are following up all different leads. But our support team usually doesn't check CRM data a lot just because it's not our remit. But we do have integration with our platforms that allow us to quickly see things in HubSpot. So hopefully that makes sense. Cool. I will move on then, and I've created a playground for us to go through creating an agent for case reviews today. And so the first thing I want to talk about is how important it is that when you start creating agents for your support team, one of the best first things to do is to create an agent that summarizes cases. So we talked a bit about this before because we have this one here that does our intercom tickets, and I'm in the process of creating some new agents that I will be listing on our marketplace that will allow us to basically give you agents that you can use for each of the different support systems that you use. So I'd love for you now, if you guys are using any different support systems, let me know in chat. And over the next couple of weeks, I can create agents that basically summarize tickets based on the support systems you use. So whether that be Zendesk, Jira Service Management, anything I'm not thinking of really, Freshdesk. I don't know if people are still using Help Scout in 2025, that kind of thing. We'd love to have all of that integrated in our platform. But right now I'll show you this first one. So I created this. This is Idris, the Intercom Case Summarizer. You've got some paid versions there if you're interested that integrate with Notion and Google Drive. But for now, if you want to follow along at home, you can just go onto here and clone this one. And that's what we're going to do today. And I've already got my Intercom account all set up. So Idris basically will take any ticket you have and summarize it for you. So here is a ticket I did yesterday, if I can find my sticky. And this is how it works. So I'm going to just give Idris my ticket. And this is what will happen. We use HubSpot Service Cloud. Do you use that for support? That's very interesting. I don't think I've ever seen, I don't know about HubSpot's support ticket capabilities, but I'll have to look at that, Jamie, and see if there's anything I can do there. But this is what Idris will do. So Idris will take an intercom conversation, summarize it, what the customer reached out to say. So I created this one yesterday. It was me. It was a customer submitted a billing related support ticket requesting to cancel their subscription plan. They described their issue simply as needing to cancel their subscription, didn't provide any additional screenshots or videos. Then this is the conversation log of all the different replies sent. And then summary of the ticket. This was a straightforward billing support ticket where customer, me, requested assistance with canceling their subscription. Support team member, me, responded by providing a direct link to documentation. So here's an interesting thing. While our prompt doesn't have anything about case reviews here, we can easily just reply to Idris and just be like, do you have any tips on how to improve Alex's support in the future based on this ticket. Give that a second. So Idris has come through and said, based on the ticket, here's a couple of tips, proactive guidance, so troubleshooting steps in case there's any issues, personalization, follow-up, feedback, request, resource highlighting. Interesting. So some good stuff there. But if we want to evolve our case review process and coach our support team a little bit more effectively, we want to have a rubric that we're going to use to do that. So last night I cooked this up. I'm going to head back to chat. Is anyone using chat yet in Relevance? We'd love to know. We're building this out quite heavily. Where is the chat that I had? So last night I spoke to chat and I said on Claude 4 Sonnet, I'm building an AI agent for case reviews on support tickets. Build me a curriculum my agent can use to rate my support tickets. I want to rate my human and AI agent support team and make sure they're continuously improving against a rubric of 4 competencies, each with different topics in the competency. For each competency, we should rate the response as growing, great, or outstanding. And so Claude has spat this out and it's quite in depth. And I thought, that's really good. I think it's a bit much, especially with the point system. And so I then replied and I said, I think this is a bit much. I just want tables of each competency that shows what's growing, good, and outstanding on each. I don't need a point system. And that's exactly what chat has given me. And then I went, okay, cool. Let's add some info around technical support troubleshooting. Obviously, Relevance is more of a technical platform, and we're going to have a lot of tickets that come through that are more technical in nature. So I've added that as well, and that's come through here. So technical communication. So what's growing would be explaining technical concepts poorly or with jargon, or great would be translates technical issues into understandable terms. And then outstanding is making complex technical information accessible and actionable. I think this is a really fantastic version 0. So what I did yesterday, that I cooked yesterday, is I put it into a Notion page. And I'm going to explain why in a second. So now that's available in Notion. My team can go and have a look at it, leave comments on it, and basically consult that whenever they get case reviews and they can understand what they're being rated against. So now what I can do is I can go back to Idris, and let's rename Idris, say case reviewer. We'll just call it that. Let's give it a new nice icon. This agent will review support cases against my rubric in Notion. Case reviewer. Your goal is to take an intercom conversation ticket and link and turn it into a readable conversation log for teams of intercom. No, we're going to change that and review it based on my rubric that is provided. We'll improve that as we go. I'm just going to change this a little bit. Tools, heading 1, rules, we'll keep that rule. So the first thing you want to do is keep this as retrieve conversation, I'll call it. So you'll receive an intercom ticket conversation link when triggered. If you do not receive this, ask user who triggered you for this. Once you receive this link, pass it into this tool, turn intercom conversation into a readable conversation log and summary, then return the output of the tool. The next thing we want to do is we want our case reviewer to review our ticket. And the easiest way to do this is to add our rubric as knowledge. So you could add your rubric to the prompt, but that would mean that you have to go into the prompt every single time you want to make changes, and that's just not the most effective thing. It also means that people who want to change the rubric have to have access to Relevance AI and your agent, which you might not want them to do. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along and I'm going to add it as knowledge. So this is a bit of a spoiler alert. We are building this if you're a Confluence user. But if you prefer Notion, that's what we're going to use today. But we basically have integrated knowledge sources. This means that you can easily add knowledge from other platforms you're using. You don't have to use the knowledge tables here. And this will update every 5 to 30 minutes, depending on the integration. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add Notion today. And so here is what I've connected already. And this is my support ticket evaluation page. And I'm going to add it here, create knowledge. We can either add all to prompt or allow our agent to search this. I want to add all to the prompt. It's a small data set, so I really don't think it's going to be a big deal. But if you had a bigger page, you'd want to allow the agent to search if you had a database. But I think add all to prompt is fine. That's what we're going to do. Let it process. Perfect. Now I'm going to head back to my prompt and I'm going to write a new part of my prompt, basically saying review the ticket. Once you've gotten the readable conversation log and summary of the ticket, you need to review the ticket based on our rubric. And now we've already inserted this here, so I'm just going to add it here instead. Each competency, rate the ticket as growing, great, or outstanding based on the rubric. I don't know why that's showing. I think once I start, that's fine. Include areas for improvement if a competency isn't outstanding. And also add any additional areas for improvement after rating the competencies, if you can think of any. Perfect. I'm also going to change to another model because I want something that is going to do a little bit more thinking. I think 4.1 might be best for this, but it really depends on the model. I think 4.0 might not be the best for this. So I'm just going to try 4.1 and see how that is. So let's save that. And we've got our knowledge, we've got our tools. And so let's run our agent again. Let me just get that same conversation. If you've spoken to our support team, want to use one of your conversations, George, I know you've spoken to us a lot. We can maybe use one of your tickets if you're keen. And let's let that run. Oh, George, you use chat to build a website. That's crazy. I haven't used it for building a website yet, but I need to give it a go. But we're really keen on that functionality. So really great to hear that you've used it for that. So it's asking me to confirm. I probably will add to the prompt that it doesn't need to confirm the future. Let's review. All right. Da-da-da. Just as an FYI, everyone, I'm in Australia and sometimes my internet is not fantastic since I'm at home. Australians would know our internet is not best. It should be, but it's not. Here we go. Amazing. So this is what it's pushed out. So it said outstanding on most things, which I would just say great. But I don't know, maybe my ticket that I quickly raised for myself where I basically said, hey, if you want to cancel, here's a help doc was outstanding. But here you go. Based on that just quick rubric from chat created, it's then gone through and been like, wow, outstanding. Areas for improvement, none. Communication was exemplary. Competency 2. They could have asked the customer had any trouble with the process and needed further assistance before closing the ticket. Interesting. Customer experience and empathy. Outstanding, great, outstanding, great. Areas for improvement. Could have added a brief note about what happens next after cancellation. Yeah, interesting. Competency 4, none. Efficiency and knowledge management was excellent. Cool. Additional areas for improvement. The agent could have included a brief confirmation what the customer should expect after cancellation and a closing message offering further assistance or inviting feedback could enhance the customer experience. Love that. Perfect. So that is a really good version 0, and I would start, getting my tickets reviewed through this process. I really like it. I think it's really fantastic. But the next thing that I would do if I was building this tool for a support team, whether my own support team or any other support team across the world, especially for, companies that don't want everyone to have access to their support portal, whether it be for licensing issues or for, just because it's an environment with lots of PI and we don't want all of our team to be able to access that. The next step I would personally do is I would create a tool that would add this to my knowledge service, whether that be Notion or Confluence. Today it's Notion, so I think that'd be a next great step. So I'm going to come into here and let's quickly just build a tool that is going to add things to Notion. So if you use Notion, you'll know that you can either create pages or create pages in a knowledge base. A database. I'm not going to create in a database today. I'm just going to create a page under the pages that I have been creating. We're just going to create it under the rubric page that we have. And let's get some inputs created. So page title is one, and then we also want page content. So page title, let's rename this and say summary of the conversation, ticket, a 5 to 10 word summary of the conversation, ticket, and we'll just keep that variable as title. Page content, so the content of the page using Markdown syntax, so we need it to be in Markdown, which we'll keep here. We're just going to say case review, add the entire case review to this field. This field should be in Markdown syntax. Hopefully that will work and it'll be fed into this field as Markdown. And I also want to change the title a bit. I'm going to call it case review title. So let's save that. I'm not going to try running it. I should probably give it a title. Add case review to Notion. Adds the case review under the support ticket evaluation rubric. George, I think that should work. Just give me a second and we'll give it a go. I might actually need to check on another window. Let me do that quickly. I'll bring up the URL to your conversation and we'll try one of yours. So let's add it to my case reviewer agent. View agent in a new tab. And while we're doing that, I'm going to bring up your conversation, George, that you went with Ricky. Perfect. Amazing. Let's open that one up and feed it into our agent now. So let's first add our tool, of course. And so we're going to go add case review to Notion. Once you've finalized the case review, add it to Notion using this tool. We start the review, don't need to wait for user confirmation. Okay, so let's give that a go and let's run that with one of George's support tickets. So George, what was this one about? This was a workforce issue. My client created several Instagram images by the workforce I provided. Interesting. But thank you for sharing that. That would be a really, really good example to use. Might take a quick minute. You can see how it's going. Sorry, you said nobody laughed, then I immediately laughed. You shouldn't say that. It's all good. We're really wanting to fix a lot of the issues on the platform where I feel like it is usability issues that we get used to at Relevance. So then when you see with new eyes, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that needs to be fixed. So don't worry. There's no such thing as a stupid question, right? So this is hopefully going to be a great example. All All right, that conversation logs happened. Here we go. I remember this because Ricky was next to me and he said I accidentally sent my name as Reese, not Ricky. You recorded a loom. Still working, but summary of the ticket was about a user reporting that Instagram images created by their client through Workforce disappeared from the agent task list. Even though evidence of the task could still be seen in the tool execution history, the user initially thought it was a technical bug, tried various troubleshooting steps, including different browsers, clearing cache, incognito mode, none of which resolved the issue. The issue was resolved when Ricky explained how the Relevance AI system works. After reviewing video evidence, Ricky clarified generate image tools were actually run within a single task of the agent rather than as separate tasks. Once the system behavior was explained, the user understood what had happened and confirmed the ticket could be closed. Cool. Oh, it's immediately gone to Notion. That's totally fine. Let's give that a go. I also did not I forgot to allow this to auto run. So we'll save that for the future. But if that works, that works. And we'll go here and see if it's created the page. It has. Okay, amazing. So it's created it in Markdown in Notion. And it said that competency 1, everything great, outstanding, outstanding, outstanding. Had a room for improvement on the initial automated response, likely a system limitation rather than an agent issue. This one, outstanding, 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 great. I think our agent may be rating everything as outstanding. Oh, we originally thought Ricky was an agent. That'd be funny to tell Ricky. Ricky is not an agent. Ricky is a person. All right, areas for improvement. Consider providing a brief summary or documentation link about how task logging works in the system. Customer experience and empathy, outstanding, 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 great. I think there's a lot of outstanding things here. And so we may want to review the rubric in the future, just be like, things should only be outstanding when it's like amazing. Chelsea, yeah, he's right in front of me. If you could just flag Ricky down and say that we're on the Relevance Live and people thought he was an agent, that'd be great. Overall rating, outstanding. The ticket was handled with exceptional professionalism, empathy, and technical skill. The agent demonstrated outstanding communication, problem solving, and customer care throughout the interaction. George, would you agree with that? There you go. That's kind of what we do here at Relevance when we get tickets. We want to continuously improve. I'm really big on in our support team, having our team continuously improve. And so when I've worked in previous support teams, like I used to work over at Atlassian, and we had a process that we would randomly review 3 tickets of each person in the team every month as seniors, but we would also look at low CSAT ones and review when we got a low CSAT result, basically decide if there were any room for improvement there. Sometimes, you know, low CSAT can be a result of expectations around support not being the same as what we offer. And so sometimes it is unavoidable, or sometimes tickets can time out. And so, oh, he was outstanding. Give him a raise. We'll let Ricky know. If you could also leave CSAT on that ticket, George, that would be incredible and really help Ricky as well. That's a metric that we use. But in terms of case reviews, this is something that every support team kind of gets used to. We go through and we review cases regularly, and it is kind of what we try to do to continuously improve and get better at support. I know when I was first doing support, I really needed a case review process, because there were times that I would say things and I thought it was very clear what I meant, and it wasn't. And so when AI came along, when I started working here, it was one of the processes I wanted to put into place immediately, because I thought it was just such an amazing way to use AI agents here at Relevance. And so it's something I'm very keen on, and I hope that I've converted some of you guys today into being case review kings and queens as well, because I really love doing this. But yeah, that kind of takes us to the end, and I'd love to answer any questions you guys have over here about what we do here in Relevance in our support team and about case reviews. So I might look to the chat and see if there's any good questions here about support agents. I just took a photo of him, but he gave me the side eye, so won't post. Oh no.
No, he's smiling now. He's all good. Yeah. I DM'd him. He's happy. He's here. Ricey, Ricky.
I'll also have to quickly screenshot he was outstanding, give him a raise. That is appreciated.
I've just CC'd the founders. No, check. In an ideal world, Alex, would you wouldn't do this with, would you do this review process and look at them for everything, or would you then have prioritize which ones you would be looking at?
In terms of which tickets I would choose?
Yeah.
So I kind of touched on this last time. We did randomly 3 every month for each person. And so like it was completely random. The system chose the ones we do, and we basically would go through, and like we wouldn't use AI for this because it just wasn't set up in that way. But we'd go through and we'd review based on our rubric. And then of course we did the low CSAT ones. And if people were struggling the team, we'd do a little bit more. There were times that like I had tickets where I really wanted it to be reviewed when I was going from a mid-level support person to a senior one. And I wanted it to be reviewed and add to our database of reviews so I can basically have a log of times I really excelled and did things like de-escalate situations really well or go through a really complex issue. I remember there was one that I was working with, without revealing too much, I was working with one of the big 4 consultancies on their enterprise subscription. They had a lot of issues with SSO, and like I basically went above and beyond and went and spoke to a product manager and try to get what they needed prioritized and all these different things. And so I wanted to add that case review for that ticket to the database to help me with promotions and making a case for that. But it can be a random process, that kind of thing. So yeah. George, so I noticed you built out separate agents. I do like the workforce capability. Any thoughts on what a support workforce might look like? Look, to be honest with you, I haven't needed to build a multi-agent system yet. Like I obviously have just built this in Workforce. I kind of copied what Ahmed does. But I haven't needed to build a fully fledged multi-agent system for support operations yet. Rose probably would be the first one that I'd make into a multi-agent system because I want to kind of build her out to do some more things. For example, documentation changes. I'd rather there be a separate agent for suggesting doc changes, and then Rose would feed what she gets into that. And so as a result, like it just depends on the use case for me. I tried to make everything one agent as much as I can. And I think that for this case review, it was a perfect example of just a one agent thing. Get a ticket, review it, send it to Notion. I think that's a great example. So that's kind of my philosophy. I don't use workforces until I go, right, does someone have multiple jobs to be done? Therefore, that would be different agents. So I kind of split my agents up into what's the job to be done. If there's just one job to be done, then that's one agent. If there's multiple jobs to be done, then that's multiple agents. Another philosophy that people think about agents with and whether to have multiple agents or just one is an agent is like a JD, a job description, right? And if you feel like you're writing too many job descriptions in one, then that's a multi-agent system. So for me, I would keep the agents I have, except for Rose, as one agent for now. But we do want to connect a couple of them in the future together. George, this is great. Love the process. I'd love to understand what your process flow is between all your platforms. Yeah, for sure. So a customer opens a ticket created in Pylon, triggers a workflow to assign a CS rep. We don't have a workflow to assign people at the moment. So I'm not big on like automatically assigning tickets to people. I like giving my team more autonomy to just choose the tickets they want to do. And that works for the most part right now. And so we don't really have a queue management process for that. In the future, we might, as we scale and grow and the tickets become quite a lot. It's something that I've employed in the past, especially when you've got so many different tickets and quite an extensive product and you want to route tickets to people who are the experts in that area. But right now we want everyone to be experts in everything. So that would be an interesting workflow if you want to do something queue management-y. But right now it's just when tickets come through, we've got a couple of different support channels. So you can either email support@relevanceai.com or you can go into our chat widget in product, which is still Intercom currently, and raise a ticket that way. And so when you do these things, it'll come through to our systems and our team will take it within 24 hours. That's our response rate. So hopefully that answers your question, but happy to answer any more questions about support platforms and what we use. Cool. There's two Georges and I've answered both your questions. So sorry if it's hard to understand which George is which. No worries. Thank you for raising the question. I'll give it another minute and we'll just see if there's any more questions.
Just curious, Alex. All, some, none on Marketplace.
Sorry, what was that?
Oh, yes. Rose, Carl, are they on Marketplace? Are they coming to Marketplace? Where can people grab and go?
Yeah, I'll definitely add them as we go. A lot of the ones we want to add integrations properly to Relevance AI first, for example, for Circle and Pylon. And so we definitely want to add a lot more. And so if there's an appetite for adding the case review one that we created today to the marketplace, I'll definitely speak to our reviewers and just quickly add that. That should be easy enough to do, and it's quite a basic one, but it will require you to come on and add your integrated knowledge sources. That won't come through. So yeah, I'm very keen. In terms of other agents, I really would love to know what you guys want to see in the marketplace. I can build anything out really with our own systems and then try get access to systems like Zendesk. The HubSpot one you guys were talking about, I need to explore that because we use HubSpot. I don't use HubSpot Service Cloud. I don't know if I have access to that, but I can figure it out, get on a demo. But yeah, really keen to see what systems you guys are all using and jump on and create some agents for it. No worries. Thank you so much for joining, Nick. We appreciate it. I think people are starting to drop off.
An important question. Is this recorded, saved so the community can access it another time?
Exactly.
I'm in awe of how fast and just one shot you got. I mean, I know you prepare, but like it worked.
It worked. I actually was kind of hoping that it wouldn't because of the fact that I wanted to take you guys also through how I troubleshoot when agents don't work.
Nice.
And so I was kind of everything worked. The one time I didn't want it to. Well, that's not a bad thing. It just means our platform's too good, I guess. But I also would love to take you guys through troubleshooting because I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with to get their agents and tools to work and understanding why things aren't working the way they do. But if you're in awe of my typing speed today, I always like sharing with people how I learned to type. So I was that girl in school that didn't really have a lot of friends, went to the library every lunch and recess, which is very sad to say. But when I did, I just included it in chat. I went up to the library and I did this over and over and over as a kid. It's called Dance Mat Typing. And it's led me to have the really fast typing speed that I have. So that is super helpful. If you got any kids that want to get really good at typing, send them this. It's a BBC Flash game. It still works, I'm pretty sure. Like, it's amazing. I think they've changed it though, but it was all these animals and they do dances and stuff, and I do it over and over, and I got really good at typing. But that's why I'm super fast on these.
Oh, well, no, I'm also appreciative, not of the speed, but the clarity of your brain to think prompting. Like, yeah. I think people are getting better at prompting and thinking about that, but you could just do it out of the park.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a teleprompter in front of you, you know, but no, like it's the clarity of your brain and the fingers. That's why I'm like, we need this recorded so we can come back to it.
Absolutely. And we need to do more sessions with you guys in the future around how we think about prompt engineering, because it's an art form. It's so different to other things that are in the technical skills, because I think a lot of things are more, coding, and you have to follow schemas and you have to do this. Prompt engineering for me is an art. And I think the people who are really fantastic at prompt engineering are people who weren't in technical fields for a very long time. And I think this is where support people excel. Because support people, over the years, you have to get really used to taking, I guess, topics, issues, things that you think are really easy to digest. I mean, one of the phrases I always say is common sense is not so common. And so if you think something is common sense, turns out it's not really to the majority of people that you meet. And you have to then condense it a little bit further and explain edge cases and think about these edge cases. And I think that's why support people are really fantastic at prompt engineering, because of the fact that they can just easily go, well, I'm used to talking to customers and having to cater to this use case and this edge case and blah, 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 blah. So therefore, when I'm prompting my AI, I know to tell it to think about these edge cases and don't do that and don't do that, because I've seen some crazy uses of technology over the years. And sometimes you need to be very clear with people, hey, you can't do that, or hey, you should do this, because it's not super clear. So I think support people are one of the best fields to become prompt engineers. Another fantastic field for people, if they want to do career changes, talking about this with my best mate who's a primary school teacher, I think it's teachers. Because you get really used to telling kids what not to do and what to do, and you realize that there's so many people out there that just are challenging the norms. And so I think once you start using AI, you get really good at going, don't do this, because you've already anticipated what it's going to do as an edge case. So yeah, that's kind of my philosophy with prompt engineering. I think there's a lot of people really good at it that don't think that they would be, but are not the most technical, but are just really good at considering edge cases.
Man, that's the headline. That's awesome. That's inspiring. Bottle that up. Yep. That's clickbait. That's gonna.
I love it.
That's really inspiring. Yeah. Thanks, awesome. Alex, for sharing.
No worries. I think we're going to end it there since we don't have any more questions. But thank you so much for everyone that joined today. We really appreciate it. And we'll have some more Relevance live sessions to announce soon. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, team.